Rollercoaster people! I just wanted to hop on here today and do something a little bit different than normal. Now, if you're seeing it is because I'm going on a super special magical trip this weekend to where you don't get to know yet because I'm going solo. But if you want to be some of the first people to find out whenever I get back where I've been and what I've been up to, then make sure that you're following Rollercoasting with Raven on Instagram and you'll be seeing more daily posts, updates, etc. But anyways, let's get into things. Kings Island is my home park and it is home to 15 different roller coasters. The park is about 54 years old and it has a history of excellence in its coasters. And I am so excited to be talking today about my rankings of Kings Island coasters. So without further ado, let's jump into number 15. I even brought my list, so official. All right, number 15, this is gonna be a hot take because it's not one of the kids' coasters. I am talking about Invertigo. Now, Invertigo is a very special coaster located towards the front of the park, and it's been around for quite some time now, and it's one of the last remaining inverted boomerangs. It is so uncomfortable. It is jostling. Every time I get on it, I am like, I'm going to throw up. It is not the best. So that's why I am placing it 15th in my ranking. Number 14 though, this will come as no surprise, Great Pumpkin Coaster. I am just saying this from the perspective of a coaster enthusiast. I think that this is a wonderful coaster for the little kids. It is low to the ground, it's well themed to Charlie Brown, and it's right beside the Charlie Brown Theater. You can go do your little coaster rides, and then if they're doing a show in the theater that day, then you can take your kids over to the theater. I think it's awesome for a first coaster, but it's just not as thrilling and hyped up for me as I typically like as a coaster enthusiast. Moving along to number 13, Woodstock's Air Rail. Now, this recently got a refurbishment whenever we got the Camp Snoopy expansion with Beagle Scout Acres Playground and the Snoopy's Soapbox Racers. So that was fantastic. I think the refresh and retheme looks really nice, the new signage and stuff, but the coaster itself is a bit janky. It is a family suspended coaster, and like I said, it looks fantastic, but there is a bit of a jostling from side to side. These do have some of the old Vekoma trains, and you can really tell by the feel of the trains on the track. Now, I will say this is perfectly safe. It is a fantastic first inverted coaster, but just for the comfort levels of an adult, don't really enjoy it as much. Number 12 is Woodstock Express. Now, Woodstock Express, formerly known as Beastie, probably formerly known as something else too. I can't remember history or statistics or any of that nonsense. I'm not the person to go to for that. It is a fantastic first wooden coaster for your little kids out there. They do have little buzz bars. You probably can't fit 2 adults in a row at a time. It would be more like adult and a child, or 2 children or 1 adult. So just keep that in mind when you are getting ready to ride. There is a little bit of limited space in the rows, but it's perfectly acceptable out and back woody. Very cute and well themed, cutely painted, fits into the area very well. But I think it's a great addition to Camp Snoopy, Planet Snoopy area. We are about to hit the top 10, but before that, we're visiting number 11. We are moving over to the other side of the park, Queen City Stunt Coaster. This coaster has seen a ton of different refreshes and rethemes throughout the year. You know, it was originally the Italian Job, and then it moved into another era, Backlot Stunt Coaster, whenever we lost rights to certain IPs. And then we moved into the Queen City Stunt Coaster era. So they have refreshed the signage and made it more about Cincinnati, the Queen City, that is about, 20-25 minutes away. There are some aspects that are a little bit weird about it now. There's like a fighter pilot scene at the top, and it used to do like shooting and sirens and all this stuff. But it's about Cincinnati now, so they don't want all of that going on. So now the scene just awkwardly sits there, and sometimes there isn't even music playing, and you just sit there and stare at each other and think, what the heck is going on? And also, not to even mention that, like the other backlot clones all over the place, King's Dominion, Canada's Wonderland, I'm looking at you, everyone has lost their splashdown at the end, which I think would have been a really cool element. I never rode it with the splashdown. So for those reasons, I think that it ranks lower on my scale. However, it is still a fantastic little family coaster. I will say the first like triple helix on the way up, it is very intense. But once you get past that, I would say it's more of a standard family coaster. And this is something that if your kid likes a little bit of thrill seeking, then they might like this. Anyways, congratulations. We have made it into the top 10 and we are visiting Area 72 for the first time with Flight of Fear. One of the things that I absolutely love about this coaster and is why it ranks a little higher in the list is the theming and the pre-show elements and just like all of the neat details that happen before you get on the coaster. So you walk into the scene of a spaceship and this little cheesy informational video from the 90s, and it is just absolutely fantastic. First year or so that it was in operation, they did have over-the-shoulder restraints, which I could imagine would be a little bit more uncomfortable, but now they have a pull-down restraint with a seat belt that goes on your lap bar. So a little bit different of the seating than what it used to be. This thing is powerful and it packs a punch. Motion sickness people beware, because it is quite intense of a first 15 seconds where you flip upside down 3 times. But I will say, if you are looking for something that is inside and air conditioned, there aren't quite as many options as I would like to have at my home park, and this is one of the options. So this does get pretty built out in the summer, especially during the heat of the day. Now we do have Phantom Theater now, which is fantastic, but I would love to see us going in the direction of having more options for air conditioning and things to do inside in the future. But this does serve a purpose, and I do think that everything ties in really well at Area 72. So that's why Flight of Fear is where it is on my list. And this will bring us to number 9, and I know this is controversial because this is higher on a lot of people's list, but I'm putting it at number 9, Banshee. Banshee is a fantastic coaster that took the place of the wooden roller coaster with an inversion, Son of Beast. And whenever they ended up tearing that down after a very short stint as a coaster at the park, they ended up replacing it with this. It is the coaster with the most inversions at Kings Island. B&M inverts are not particularly my favorite style of coaster, just because it feels like they're more intense, especially towards the back, and I like a bit more of a smooth ride when it comes to my steel coasters. Banshee just isn't it for me, but I can totally understand why other people would have it higher in their ranks. It's got some fantastic elements. It's really fun to shoot photography around and videography around. And overall, I really enjoy the atmosphere of the station, especially at night during haunt. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the better night rides in the park, in my opinion. I like to sit closer to the front just so I have a more smooth, chill experience, if that's something that you're interested in. However, if you want something that is a little bit more violent, sit towards the back. Row 8's where it's at if that's what you're into, and the ends feel a little bit more intense to me than the middle. There are 4 seats in the row. There's number 9, Banshee. We're about halfway through our list right now, and coming in at number 8 is Adventure Express. I absolutely love a good Aero Mine train. I'm going to be so sad one day when we lose a lot of them all at once, because most of them were built around the same time, but this is one of the later models, so hopefully we get to keep it for quite a while. Adventure Express did just receive a re-theme refresh a few years ago with the addition of Cargo Loco and Soul Spin. They've kind of made that a whole area. I just really like how everything ties in this area. It really enhances the Aero Mine Train experience to have a decent amount of theming, with the enhanced theming, with the onboard audio, all the stuff that they have going on these days. This thing also gives a super fantastic night ride. Really fun that the whole family can enjoy, even if they're thinking, oh, I don't want anything too rough, I don't want anything too high off the ground. I think this is something that you could loop in most of the family on, which is why Adventure Express ranks so high for me at number 8. Number 7, we are finally circling back to Camp Snoopy to go back on Soupy. Number 7 is taking us back to Camp Snoopy, and we are talking about Snoopy's Soapbox Racers. So this is the newest coaster at Kings Island. Vekoma family boomerangs are starting to pop up a little bit of everywhere. I mean, Holiday World has it, Kings Island has it, there's starting to be a ton of them over in Europe. And I feel like eventually this is going to be something that really catches on. It offers a very low height requirement, just above 3 feet, and a lot of the family can ride together. It's not anything that's too sickening. The backwards parts are very smooth, and I really like the theming of this one, how you have different soapbox cars and each one has a different character theme. So I really like sitting in the front in the Snoopy car. I just really enjoy the theming and the placement of this, and I think it makes a great addition to the park. Also, they started running this during Winterfest, which is really fantastic. I love having more of a variety of options for my rides during Winterfest. Number 6 takes us over to the Racers. This opening year attraction is a dueling set of wooden coasters, and by today's standards, they're definitely not too crazy, but back in 1972, this was where it was at. Anyways, you get on the coaster, and it has kind of a simple out and back layout, but I love the interaction that you have between different people. I always end up playing rock, paper, scissors with a stranger, and just hearing the laughs and the giggles and the "you're going down" and the victory squeals at the end of it, it's just priceless to me. And I love a historic coaster, something with value, something with merit. And this is also one that I really love a good night ride on, because even though you're not going to be getting a completely pitch black ride, you get really great views of the park, of the Eiffel Tower. I mean, you can see all the way around this park, and it is gorgeous, especially when you get to ride this thing during Haunt or Winterfest, because now they run it during Winterfest, and it is just absolutely fantastic. We have made it to the top 5. Here at number 5 is Orion. Now, Orion is the most recent big kid coaster of the park. It opened back in 2020, and I just think it's a really great coaster. A lot of people complain about it not being giga enough, but I promise if you compare a 287-foot drop versus a 300-foot drop, you're not going to notice a dang bit of difference. So we just need to chill about that discussion. I do rank this as one of the weaker gigas overall, but I think for Kings Island this is the perfect fit. Even though it might not be quite as long as I wanted it to be, I do like walking through certain sections of the queue, like the shed building before you go up the stairs, and being able to see the different bits of Kings Island's history in the defunct attractions area. And then you walk up the stairs. Really pretty ride building in my opinion. I think it kind of reminds me of Gemini with all the banners hanging up over the coaster. And then they usually have really great operations, 3 train ops most days, especially when it's busy. So it's a really high capacity attraction. It's easy enough to get on. There are certain elements that I really love of this coaster. The wave turn, the, I believe they call it the Orion belt at the end of that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I just really think there are a lot of good elements here. The speed hill about halfway through once you're coming back towards the station. But yeah, all in all, I think Orion is a fantastic coaster, and that's why it ranks so high in my books. You might have noticed that I haven't talked about something that is really near and dear to my heart yet, the Bat. Yes, I rank the Bat number 4 overall. I think part of it is just, it is a smooth, fun coaster that is wonderful for the whole family. They did just reduce the height requirements, and now you only have to be 42 inches tall to ride instead of 48, so you can get more of the family on the coaster, perfectly safe, perfectly fine. And I just really love an aero suspended coaster. I've been on all 4 in North America now, so I can say that this is probably ranking up at 1 or 2 on my list. I don't know if it passes Vortex at Canada's Wonderland, which is fantastic. But this just has a certain speed and intensity about it, and it really has that old aero charm with it. And I just absolutely love an aero suspended coaster. This thing is one of the most underrated night rides ever, and it is just such a fantastic coaster. So let's give it up for the Bat. My entirety of the top 3 coasters in my heart live in Rivertown, and that's why I call this area the trifecta, or the Holy Trinity. So I'm going to address all 3 tenets of the Holy Trinity here. Number 3, and this can kind of alternate between 2 and 3 in my book, is Diamondback. Diamondback is probably my favorite hyper that I've been on, and I've been on a lot of hypers. So if you don't know, Giga is something that's between 300, 399 feet tall. A hyper is the class just below that, that's either 200 to 299 feet tall. So Diamondback fits that category. And I just think it is so much fun from start to finish. You don't even pick up the entirety of your speed until the end of the second drop. Usually on most coasters, you've hit your maximum speed at the end of the first drop. So you've got a lot going on here, really strong, good layout, and then you have the splashdown element at the end. I just think this is absolutely fantastic. Super fun, great theming. I love all the merch for Diamondback too, except for the AI slop. We need to stop doing that, Six Flags. But yeah, Diamondback ranks very high in my heart. And again, this can kind of alternate between 2 and 3, but my number 2 is Mystic Timbers. Mystic is our newest wooden coaster in the park. It's a GCI, and I absolutely love the relentless nature of this thing. And I mean, just from start to finish, has a really great theme going. You can feel the ambiance, and then the truck pulls up and you don't really know what you're getting into the first time if you haven't looked into any of the advertisements or what's in the shed and all that sort of stuff. This thing has a really strong first drop, it goes all the way out in the woods. You can get really good views of the rapids, as well as just a really good pitch black dark night ride whenever you get out into the woods. Plus, you have the options of 3 different endings with 4 different songs, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it is just a fantastic coaster, and you won't be expecting the end. This brings us to my number 1 coaster. It might be controversial in your eyes, but it is definitely not in mine. It is the Beast. The Beast might be the coaster that I have ridden the most over the years. I just love lapping this thing. And the fact that the longest wooden roller coaster in the world is like an hour and a half from my house is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's just got such historic value, and you're never going to find anything like it out there ever again, because it was built in-house. Things were kind of done math by hand back then instead of on the computers in the 70s. So back in 1979, they did not have all of this cool hip technology. So whenever it got to the end of the second drop, they decided that they were going to slowly profile it from straight down into a 45-degree angle to prepare us to go into these double helices that are in the tunnels. I just think it's absolutely fantastic, and if you've ridden this during the day, you can see the absolutely beautiful forest around you. I mean, just surrounded by a ton of trees in front of you, and all of the park is behind you. Whenever it comes to a night ride, night rides are absolutely fantastic on the Beast. And let me give you a pro tip. If you want the best experience on the Beast, you want to be sitting in a non-wheel seat. So we have 3-row PTCs on the Beast cars, all 3 trains. So this is where one wheel is, this is where another wheel is. So you don't want to be sitting where the wheel is on your back, because then it's a little bit more jarring. And then right here, the wheel's on your feet, which is more comfortable. This is the worst. This is next to worst. But if you can sit right here in the middle of the cars, so like row 2, row 5, row 8, etc., then I think that's where it provides the smoothest ride, the best ride. I personally love row 17, like a ton of people. It's the next to last row. So there you have it, coaster people. There are all my Kings Island coasters ranked. Where did I get it right? Where did I get it wrong? Let's talk in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to share where I am at. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna vlog it yet, if I'm gonna do like one massive vlog or do little sections at each park. I'm going to a few different parks, and it is just going to be an action-packed, fun-filled weekend. And this is your reminder that you can leave on a Friday and get back on a Sunday, get back to work on Monday. I will see you next week, coaster people. Bye.